This week I spent a good amount of time printing both knives and fruit fly traps. The fruit fly traps that I've been printing, it's humid here in Iowa, and we get a bunch of them this time of year. So rather than having a bunch of fly tape things sticking from our ceiling, we thought we'd print a few of these and put them around the house because they're cute little things. Well, poor Zoop Zoop has been trying, but unfortunately, the the traps kept coming dislodged, and that's only part of the issue I had with them. Also, the design that I got, the interior of the catch, not the lid, but the catch, so the jar portion, was about a quarter of a millimeter too small. And when you've got something that is that friction fit, that precise, that's a big problem because you can close it, but it gets stuck. Um, but anyway, the big issue, like I said, was the fact that they kept coming loose. I went through and I cleaned the bed multiple times, and still, those kept coming loose. Specifically, the lid of it. The lids did not want to stay. And when the lid would come loose, it would knock the jar that was close to it, boom. Because anybody that has a 3D printer knows something comes loose, it's going to take something else with it. Well, so I would clean the bed with isopropyl, and that wasn't enough. And then I would scrub the bed. I scrubbed the bed with soap and water. That wasn't enough. And I'm like, this should be working. And then I remembered, oh yeah, another thing that I needed to do that I turned off like as soon as I got the printer, because most things I print, have plenty of contact with the bed, at least compared to how tall and everything that they get, was the brim. I had turned off the brims on all my designs, and it's one of those things that as long as you're printing bigger things that have lots of contact, that's fine. But there's a couple reasons why you probably shouldn't be doing it. One is the thing that I experienced, loss of adhesion, where it would go through and it would come loose because there was very little contact. And if your printhead gets it just a little bit, it comes loose. The other thing, when you got things that are rectangular or square and you have sharp corners, not just rectangular or square, but anything that really has a sharp point, if you don't have a brim, those points can come lifted and it'll deform the print. So it's best whenever you are doing a print that you turn on the brim for those reasons. Realistically, having the corners lift up is a symptom of it coming loose from the bed, but it's just that one little bit because you've got the expansion and contraction of the plastic as it shrinks, pulling it loose. So that's one thing that I fought with quite a bit the last few days, and it's something that I knew because I'd experienced it. But again, I had been printing mostly bigger things, or again, at least things that had a lot of contact with the bed compared to how tall and everything I got. Realistically, it's my own fault. Like, I had stopped using the brim, and then I'm like, okay, maybe it's this other thing, maybe it's this. Then I'm like, oh yeah, no, I probably should turn the brim on so that I've got more contact. Simple, but silly. Um, but again, Zoop Zoop has been chugging along. We've made lots of things, lots of knife bodies that I like that I found on Maker World. I like the design of the knife. I had to make it bigger a little bit, and then I increased the size of the sheath that the guy had designed to go with it, because I didn't like the fact that the blade, that you could see the blade through the teeth. I just wanted it covered, because to me, it looks safer, therefore it is safer, no matter whether that's true or not. But yeah, no, I've had a good week 3D printing, but again, 3D printing is one of those things that's just a giant... 3D printing is basically a science experiment, where as long as you're paying attention, each time you do it, that experiment will make it for the next experiment a little bit better and a little bit better, and you can make things be more precise. I reached out to people in a couple groups that I'm in on Facebook, and the number of times people are like, oh, you need to check your Z offset, or your filament's not dry enough, or what have you. Like, everybody's coming up with answers to problems or solutions to problems that they've experienced, which is great. But there's a common expression. I do not remember the field that I first heard this in, but there's a common expression that you need to be thinking horses, not zebras. And it's like you hear those kind of things in all sorts of fields. But basically, the problem, or at least the solution to a problem, you need to look at the most common, most simple solution first, rather than being like, oh, it's this other more complex, convoluted thing. Like, obviously, bed adhesion issues can be your Z offset, but that's something that's more complex. And it's not one of those things, especially if you, like I do, if you regularly run your self-calibration checks at the beginning of every print, it's not super common that your Z offset's going to be messed up. So, think horses, not zebras.